Today I'm looking at dinghies. We talked about how to get out to the moorings and various ways you can get out there, walk out, use a dinghy, get a lift. And there's ways, as I said, my preferred way is to use a dinghy. What type of dinghy? It's always questionable. Depends on the number of people you got. This one is light enough to manoeuvre around and can fold up quite small. I tend to just leave it so I can roll it up like this. You can get dinghies, I'll show you some examples whereby you put boards in. They're quite heavy, lots of trunk around. I don't particularly like them either. They tend to last a long time and they make the bottom rigid, but I'm not a fan of them. These this has got a pump up floor. Biggest problem I've had with this is these. They are murder to get off. Once you screw them in and tighten them up, they are so difficult to get out. If you buy a new one, they come with a special tool to get them out with, but otherwise you're stuck with these, and they work very well. They're a one-way valve system. To let it down, you can just unscrew the whole lot, but when you leave them screwed in, trying to get them undone is not the easiest process to follow. So say that one's not coming off. It's where you need. They're quite tight, and you know, it depends on your grip, but you will need a pair of pliers at some stage, or the tool to do it with. I've often thought about making one. It's that simple, but being as lazy as I am, that doesn't happen. The next thing is to pump it up. A lot of people will pump the floor up first, other people will pump the sides up. I tend to pump whatever comes next. And as you can see, this is not the made hose, because when I bought the dinghy it didn't have any pump with it. I now have a variety of pumps. Got one there which is really powerful. The biggest one, which is the one I'm going to use, is here, and then there's another small one over there.
So the main thing is just get it pumped up. And this is 11:43. You can see these have pressures on, the pressure that you should take it up to. A lot of these tubes come with a pressure gauge, so you can gauge that. It depends how efficient you want to be. What do you want to pump it up to? You want to pump it up so that there's hardly any compression in there when you push it down. That's alright. Few more for good luck. Ready. And then we've got the, well, it's really like a keel to give it some shape underneath. At the moment it's quite flat. Once this goes up, you see, the boat rises, and it just helps cut through the water a bit better. That doesn't take long to inflate that bit.
And the rest is done. That's it, really. That's I started at 11:43. It's now 11:49, and so we're talking about just on 6, maybe 7 minutes to get that pumped up. 10 minutes if you're going to be slow or you've got a small pump, but otherwise that's your dinghy ready to go. You can see it underneath there. That gives it its shape, which is quite handy and good. As I say, these are quite light. Once they're filled with air, they're even lighter, obviously. Well, not obviously. Fill them with helium, they'll be even lighter. Main things to consider. First one, which we've all done and we will all do and we will continue to do, is leave the bung out. Always put the bung in. Always. The amount of people who go out, and especially me, and think, ooh, this is leaking somewhere. Yes, the bung's off. It's not going to let any water in if it's got the bung in. So I think that's a very important thing to do. There are various styles of seats. This is off a dinghy that I had once and was stolen, but this would just sit there really in some loops. I can use these by extending these and clip that in if I need to. It's a bit high for me. I don't think it's a good idea to be that high out of the water, but you can get aluminium ones. They're a problem because you've got to carry those with you, and again, that's rigid, it's more weight, it's everything. This is quite good. This is off a different dinghy, but I have one for this dinghy as well. And basically you've got a seat here which you will pump up. I've obviously switched these over. This is the one for the dinghy that I keep on the boat, which is an inflatable. Oop. Some of these have got a screw in, so you've got to turn that screw if you want it to seal. They're self-sealing ones that I've just been using. And you can see they're just got that. These are excellent seats. You can pump these up. This one actually attaches to the bottom of the other one, of the other dinghy, but you'll pump that up, fasten it to the bottom, and it just evens out everything. And there's your dinghy ready to go. Obviously paddles. This one came with this style of paddle, which is all right actually. It's not bad at all. It's quite an easy system. They do tend to break quite easily and then don't stay in as well as they should do. Hence this one's a bit battered, but that's it. And then that will clip on onto there. I tend to not like a set of paddles where somebody's got a row, mainly because I'm an ex-kayaker and I used to paddle a C1, and therefore my preferred option is a paddle I can use just like a canoe, a kayak. Given that once I've got this properly organised in the right position, I can paddle far faster than 1 or 2 people even paddling with a set of oars like that. They do tend to get in the way, they do fall off, they do get lost, hence I've only got one. Mind you, I gave the other one to somebody else who lost one. But this is great. Also, as I've showed before, this is a lovely boat hook, so when you're coming in alongside, you just hook onto the rail of your boat and pull yourself in, and no messing about. What's also important on your boat, on your dinghy that is your painter. Have a good painter. A lot of people don't make it long enough to go right to the back, which is a great idea, because that way if you do forget about it and it trails, it won't get wrapped around your propeller. So it's always a good idea not to have your painter longer than your boat. And basically all this is for, snap hook there, you just clip on to the boat and it's got you steadfast. As soon as you get to the boat, then you can start preparing and everything else. I think one of the key things I am always keen to make sure is that the line is fastened before any other work is done. You don't start standing up, you don't do anything. The line is fastened, it's hooked onto the boat, it's secure, and you can then start manoeuvring. Otherwise, done it before, you get close to the boat, you hook it on, you don't test that it's secure, and then you're working away, and next thing you're floating down river with the tide. And if you've got an outboard, a petrol outboard, which is what I'm going to talk about now, if you've got a petrol outboard, you've got the issue about getting the outboard going. You should stop it once you're stopped, you know, in case anything falls over, gets wrapped up or whatever. Always a good idea to stop the engine. Some engines you can't stop because they'll just won't go again. That's the problem with outboards, to be honest with you. My preferred engine is this Torpedo. It's all electric, it's an inbuilt battery which you can take off and recharge. It weighs far less than any petrol outboard, and not only that, it starts first time and works excellently. Yes, this one cost an absolute fortune. I was very fortunate, or not so fortunate. Due to an accident, I was able to pay out the sort of money that would give me a boat, an outboard that I need. This one, believe it or not, dead light, really light compared to another engine of its size. It's fantastic. Dead simple battery inbuilt. This hasn't been used, I'm going to see here now, this hasn't been used for over a year. Oh wow, don't know whether you can see that. It says battery 92%. That's not bad, and it's dead simple. Oh, it's dead simple when you put the key on. That's your emergency key, emergency release, and it's on. And it is. This, believe it or not, this engine will drive my 27-foot against the tide. Very slowly, but it does do it. Hence why I bought it. I was fed up of messing about with petrol, getting petrol all over the boat, getting petrol all over me, all over my kit, everything. This is an expensive one. You're looking now to buy about $12.50, worth every penny as far as I'm concerned, but you know, some boats don't cost that much, and so, you know, what's your alternative? Get a petrol one. Cheap, easy to use. A lot of them, so long as you maintain them and look after them, they will last for a very long time. You can buy a cheap electric one for 150 quid, which will push this along against the tide without any problem at all. Won't push your boat, but it'll push this along with a few people in. This is the sort of setup I'm talking about. It's adjustable. You can have it long length or very short length, depending on what you need to do. All you need is a leisure battery to go with it, to get you backwards and forwards to the mooring. Know who another member of the club, he's got one, and he uses his and he swears by it. The other thing, again, have a safety line on your engine. When you put your engine on, make sure it's hooked on, because the last thing you want is it falling off and your engine going into the sea. If you when you get off the boat, again, you can connect this up to the top of the boat that you're getting onto, and then lift the engine off, and that way it's not going to fall. Well, if it does fall, it's got a safety line on it. I think they're all important things. What else can I talk about? Oh yeah, the next thing, this boat is designed for 4 people. You can see that, 4 people, and it will carry all the gear as well. It's a fairly big boat. This is the size of boat I would recommend for people in the club. I wouldn't recommend anything smaller. I've had smaller ones and they're a pain. They're alright for 1 person, maybe 2, even though they're supposed to be 2 men. This would be crowded with 4 people, but you know, the majority of people that I take out, there's about 3 of us, and we can all go out in this with all our gear, and that's more than adequate. I think that's the main thing, is how we go out. And it's a safe dinghy. Why have I got a pump-up dinghy? Main thing is because a rigid one, when you get to your boat, you'll be banging alongside your boat, and you can do some nasty damage to the gel coat, bashing about in the waves, where these won't do any harm at all. The way to test these is leave them up, leave them inflated for 24 hours, and then if they're going down, to be honest with you, if it stays up for 24 hours, it's more than you want, because you'll be able to go out for a sail, come back and get in the dinghy, and it'll still be reasonable firm. But you do need to check them, especially if you're going to use them for the first time after not having them used them for a year or so. This has got plenty of patches on it. I keep on patching this up, but you know, the biggest problem I've had, I've been away for 2 days, come back, it's been on the mooring and it's gone down slightly, and it's been a bit weak in the middle, and trying to pump it up with one of those is not easy. I've got an electric pump on board, and also you can buy those mini pumps at about £7. They will inflate them very quickly, but they won't take them up to the pressure that you need. So you might need to think about that. Okay, this is great. So you got somebody with you, you can just ask them to pick up the side, and off you go, walking down the slipway. The problem you've got is if you're on your own and you've got lots of gear, and you've got the engine as well. So I fitted these a while back, and these were very good. You can see there where I've had the tape. These were very good. They basically slip onto a clip there, and then you lift them up, pull them over, and then they go like that when you're in the water. I had so much trouble with them, I was getting really fed up. You can get the small plastic ones, which are literally only come. Most of the people who've had those break them within the first month on the stones and going down the slipway. I don't particularly like any of that at all. I got fed up with those. I had those for 2 years and I got fed up with them. They weren't helpful at all. And in the end, I discovered the frame. This frame is excellent. It folds up, it neatly stores away, and it takes less than 2 minutes to put together. It is really useful. Lee introduced me to it, Lee Moore, and it's been excellent. Literally just slot that in, use the trailer clips, the D-shaped trailer clips, and they just slot in each of the sections, and you know, that's all there is to it basically. Put the pieces together. Again, another clip goes in there obviously, and then just slide that out to the correct length for your dinghy and just insert it, and that's the job done. Simple as that. Put the dinghy on top, load all your gear in, and away you go. Dead easy. Remember I said it's a good idea to leave it pumped up for 24 hours? Well, I did, and it went down. So then I looked for possible leaks, covered it with water and soap, and checked the old patches, obviously, see whether they were leaking or not, and then I found this one. And I was able to repair that. I've got a mixture of different stuff. You need to make sure you've got the right material to do it with and the right glue for the material, otherwise it won't settle. I won't show you how to do that because I don't follow the rules. I hope you found this useful. As I say, I do prefer going out in the dinghy. You can see petrol engines are fine, they work well. I prefer electric, they're cleaner, they're safer, and less hassle, and they're lighter as well. A lot easier to transport and use. Going out in the dinghy is far better than walking through the mud, and you need a good pair of waders if you're going to do that, as per previous videos. Or if you're really lucky, you can get a lift off one of the ribs who'll take it out, and then you can go in ease, put all your kit in there, just get a lift to your boat, and hopefully get a lift back as well. But you know, they're very helpful, our rib drive.